I'm going to start here. BHIC 131, Unit 6. Unit 6, Harappan Civilization, its material characteristics, nature of contacts, society, and religions. These things we will discuss in our Unit 6. Earlier, we have studied about Unit 5 related to Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and Lothal, Dholavira, Sutta Gendor also. Now we are discussing about its characteristics, its features, its context with other countries, its societies, and its dressing sense, food habits, subsistence strategies, and religions also. The contents which we will cover in this unit 6 are the introduction of this chapter, from villages to towns and cities, sources to know about Harappan civilization. What were the sources? How we get the resources about the Harappan civilization. Geographical spread, east, west, north, south, important centers of Harappan civilization, from where they trade with one another, exchange system, how they exchange, how they trade with each other, and society and some. Introduction. In this unit, we discuss about the geographical spread, material characteristics of Harappan civilization, which arose on the foundation of pastoral and agricultural communities and small townships. It refers to the continuity of population, material traditions between early Harappan culture to Harappan civilization. Then it attempts to familiarize you with town planning, important structures, arts, craft, housing patterns, pottery, tools, implements, subsistence patterns, and script of civilization. This unit also brings out the uniformities in the material characteristics of Harappan sites. The civilization was characterized by presence of large number of small and large towns. Apart from the cities like Harappa, like Mohenjo-daro, even very small settlements like Allahadino near Karachi have yield materials characteristics of an urban economy. An urban economy is characterized by a vast network of relationships which transcend its physical space. You will see in this unit how the people of Harappa were in active interaction with other cities, towns located at a distance of hundreds of miles from Harappa. This unit goes on to explain the reasons why did the cities establish trading networks, also form of inter-regional trade. It also takes into account the sources of raw materials and extent of contact with contemporary West Asian civilizations. Of course, all this knowledge about Harappan civilization is gained through various historical sources and they have been explained in the unit as well. In this unit 6, we will explain all these things. Next is from villages to towns and cities. How we excavate, how are the evidences we get about the villages and about the towns and the cities and all. In the previous unit, we saw how pastoral, nomadic, and agricultural communities established themselves in Indus Plain and how some small townships having contact with faraway lands had come into existence. Yes, we have studied about this in our earlier unit about hunter-gatherer societies, about tribal people, how they subsistence themselves near about the bank of the river Indus. On the foundation of these agricultural communities and small townships emerged the Harappan civilization. By the term Harappan civilization, we mean that The Harappan society was characterized by the presence and domination of large cities in this phase of history. This would also mean the presence of specialized craftsmen, long distance trade, existence of rich and poor people, and the presence of kings. Yes, we will see all these things in our another pages. How were the sources to know about the Harappan civilization? What were the sources? We get we get some evidences from Harappan sites, Mohenjo-daro sites, so that we came to know about what we came to know about Harappan sites, Harappan civilization, Harappan society, Harappan religions. The information about civilization comes from reports of excavations at places like Harappa, at places like Mohenjo-daro. The excavations at Harappa began in 1921. Harappan settlements have been located and excavated since then. Famed archaeologists like Sir John Marshall, Sir R.E.M. Wheeler conducted excavations at Harappan settlements. These scholars, by carefully studying material remains, have made the relics of the past speak. Since we cannot read the written words of the Harappans, we have to draw conclusion on the basis of the study of artifacts used by them. By now, more than 1,000 settlements bearing Harappan materials have been discovered. More than 1,000. However, most of these settlements have not been excavated. According to one estimate, only 3% of reported Harappan settlements have been excavated. Even at sites where excavation work has been carried out, not more than one-fifth area has been excavated. Some sites like Ganeriwal in the Hakra Valley and Furukhsilan in Punjab, which are reported to be nearly as large as Mohenjo-daro, have been even being touched by the excavators. Only 3% area, which is till now excavated. What is the reason behind this? The reason behind this is the most of the area of Harappan civilization is in Pakistan now. After the partition in 1947, it is very tough to excavate over there. In 1920s, Dairam Sahni, R.E.M. Wheeler, Rakhal Das Banerjee, they excavate, they are the scholars, they are the archaeologists who excavate so many things from these sites and they found some conclusion regarding that. Otherwise, there are very less resources to know about Harappa civilization. Geographical spread. Scholars generally believe that Harappa, Ghaggar, Mohenjo-daro axis represent the heartland of Harappan civilization. Harappa, Ghaggar, Mohenjo-daro. Ghaggar is the name of the river, and Harappa is also a site, and the Mohenjo-daro also is a site or city. Most of the Harappan settlements are located in this region. It is characterized by certain uniformities. The entire zone is a flat stretch of land having similar subsistence pattern. Snowmelt from the Himalayas, monsoon rains define its flooding pattern, how the floods came into these areas. This would create similar kind of possibilities for agriculture and pastoralism. The Kutch Plain to the west of Indus system is in the transitional zone of Iranian borderlands. It is a flat alluvial outwash located at the foot of Bolan Pass and Lake Menchen. It is an inhospitable country. Except for its periphery, it is completely dry. Sites like Nosharo, Jujodro, Ali Murad have been reported from this area. The settlements of Sukta Ko, Sukta Gendro, Makran coast represent the driest part of hilly Balochistan region. They are the known western boundaries of the Harappans. The Harappan settlements at Shortugai. Have you listened about Shortugai? Shortugai, that is at present in Afghanistan. Shortugai in northeastern Afghanistan seem to have been isolated colonies of Harappans. We have got some traces of canals from Shortugai in Afghanistan. That's why it is very famous in this chapter, Harappan Civilization. Next, you can see on the screen the important centers of Harappan Civilization. Important centers, very important. The two main and two the big cities, important cities, are Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Except Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, there are some towns, there are some villages also, which we can see in this chapter, just like Kalibangan, just like Rakhigari, just like Ganveriwala, just like Kot Diji, Chanudaro, Amri, Balakot, Suttakoho, Dholavira, Lothal, which is in Rajasthan nowadays, you can see in the map. Very important places and very important towns. It is shown in your map in front of you. Important centers. Next, and first of all, we will study about Harappa. How Harappa was excavated and who excavated Harappa and when and what was the main things regarding Harappa. Harappa was the first site to be excavated. From 1920s onwards, archaeologists like Dayaram Sahni, M.S. Watts, Mortimer Wheeler carried out excavations at Harappa. It is located on the bank of Ravi in western Punjab. In terms of its size, variety of objects discovered, it ranks as the premier city of Harappan civilization. The ruins of the city cover a circuit of about 3 miles. The fact that there are no clusters of sites around Harappa. A substantial section of the population here was engaged in activities other than food production. These activities could relate to administration, trade, craft work, religion. Since these people were not producing food for themselves, someone else would have to do it for them. Productivity was low and transportation was quite difficult. Transportation was quite difficult because at that time there was no any bullock cart, no any bus truck was available over there for the trade purposes. So that's why it was very difficult for all of them. Next is Mohenjo-daro. The main thing of Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro located in the Larkana district of Sindh on the bank of Indus. It is the largest site of Harappan civilization, largest site. Most of the information regarding town planning, housing, ceilings of this civilization comes from this site, Mohenjo-daro. Excavations began here in 1922 with Rakhal Das Banerjee and Sir John Marshall taking up the work. Later on, Mackay, George Dales also conducted excavations. Some small scale excavations and plotting of the site have continued up to the 80s. Excavations show that people lived here for a long time and went on building and rebuilding houses at the same location. As a result of this, the height of remains of buildings and debris is also about 75 feet. We have studied a lot of about Mohenjo-daro and Harappa in our earlier units, Unit 5. So many things we have discussed about Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. We have discussed about guild system. We have discussed about drainage system. We have discussed about subsistence strategies, how they follow to subsist themselves. We have discussed a lot of things in Unit 5. You can see Unit 5 in this video also. Next, Kalibangan. The settlement of Kalibangan is located in Rajasthan, as you have seen in the map. Yes. Here is Kalibangan. You can see in this downside of Harappa. Kalibangan is located over here. Settlement of Kalibangan is located in Rajasthan along the dried up of Ghaggar. As pointed out earlier, this area has had the largest concentration of Harappan settlements. Kalibangan was excavated in 1960s, not in 20s, not in 30s. It is excavated in 60s under the guidance of B.K. Thapar. This history of India from the earliest times up to circa 300 CE 154 place has yielded evidence of existence of pre-Harappan and Harappan habitations. It shows significant variation from Harappa. In the sphere of religious beliefs, some scholars have suggested that Kalibangan might have been part of eastern domain of Harappan civilization. In the areas of present-day Haryana, East Punjab, Western UP, Harappan sites like Bara, Siswal, Alamgirpur have been discovered. They gave evidence of presence of distinct local traditions in pottery, along with Harappan pottery. Kalibangan might have been a mediator between Harappa cultural zone and eastern provinces. This is the mediator. Kalibangan is a mediator between Harappan cultural zone and eastern provinces. Next is Lothal. You can see in map, Lothal is in Rajasthan. In Gujarat, yes, settlements such as Rangpur, Surkotda, Lothal have been discovered in Gujarat. Lothal is located in the coastal flat of Gulf of Cambay. This place seems to have been an outpost for sea trade with contemporary West Asian societies. Its excavator S.R. Rao claims to have discovered a dockyard here. Lothal is also the important city of Harappan civilization. You can see if you want to find the Lothal, it is located in Gujarat. If you can see in the map of India, it is located in Gujarat. It is also an important city. And some scholars have discovered a dockyard over here. That's why we can take this name. Sukta Kendor. Sukta Kendor is located near Makran coast, which is close to Pakistan-Iran border. Pakistan-Iran border. At present, the settlement is landlocked in dry inhospitable plains. The town had a citadel surrounded by a stone wall built for defense. We have studied about citadel and lower town also. What we have studied in Unit 5? Citadel is the upper town and the lower town is the lower town at that. And what is the difference between citadel and lower town? The difference between citadel and lower town was that the people, rich people, live on upper town and the poor people live on lower town. That is the main difference between them. The society was discriminated. The poor society was discriminated at that time just because the first thing is the lower people, the village people, and the labor class people live in lower towns. That is the main difference which we can see in the society. The town had a citadel, and citadel was surrounded by a stone wall. Just this was built for the defense, so that no outsider can attack on that. That is a defensive wall around the city, around the town. Its location is an inhospitable area, can only be explained by the need of seaport of trading. Next, material characteristics. Material. In this section, we discuss the material characteristics of Harappan civilization. We will take into account town planning, pottery, tools, implements, arts, craft, script, and subsistence pattern of civilization. How they do all these things with one another. Next is town planning. How they planned their towns, how they planned their cities, how they planned their streets, their drains, and all things we will study about this. Archaeologists like Mortimer Wheeler, Stuart Bagwell believe that Harappan towns had a remarkable unity of conception. This was suggested by the division of each town into two parts. Division of each town into two parts. In one part was a raised citadel where the rulers were staying. In other part of town lived in rural and poor. Poor people lived also there. This unity of planning would also mean that if you are walking on the streets of Harappa, houses, temples, granaries, streets themselves will be almost identical to those of Mohenjo-daro or any other Harappan town for that matter. The entire idea of unity of conception was derived from the notion of a community of foreigners suddenly conquering the Indus Valley and building new towns. Such towns were designed to separate the natives from the rulers. Natives from the rulers. That is for differentiate with each other. Thus, the rulers built citadels which kept them in glorious isolation. Such ideas of the sudden emergence of Harappan towns and unity of planning are being increasingly rejected by new scholars. The Harappan towns were located on the floodplains of rivers, on the fringe of desert, on the sea coast. This means that people living in these different regions faced different kind of challenges from nature. Kind of challenges like floods, kind of challenges like earthquakes, like dry the river. Their adaptation to environment would introduce diversity in their town planning and lifestyle too. Many large and seemingly important buildings were located in the lower city. You can see some important buildings were located in the lower city also. That was the differentiation between lower caste and the upper caste. Town planning system is this. Next is our housing pattern. How they make their house. What was the pattern they were using in building their houses? The average citizen seems to have lived in blocks of houses in lower city. Blocks of houses. Here too, there were variations in size of houses. It could be single room, tenements, means for slaves like the ones discovered near the granary of Harappa. There were other houses complete with courtyards, having up to 12 rooms. The bigger houses were provided with private wells, toilets. These houses had much the same plan, a square courtyard around which were a number of rooms. Courtyard around which a number of rooms. The entrance of houses were from the narrow lanes, which cut the street at right angles. No windows faced the street. This means that the road board facing the house would be like a row of brick walls. You will see some very different features in making the house in Harappan civilization. Like windows were very short in the houses, just for the privacy. And the main gate is from the back side because it was it was a forecast over there that if the main door will be at the front of the home, then it is said that over there the wife of the husband of that particular home was not lucky for all of them. That's why they built their main gate from the back side of the home, from the back side of the house. some things they used to follow over there. Next is pottery. The painting decoration consists of horizontal unit of varied thickness, leaf pattern, scale, checkers, lattice work, palm, people trees. Birds, fishes, and animals are also shown. Among notable shapes found in Harappan pottery are pedestal, dishes, goblets, cylindrical vessels, perforated all over, and various kinds of bowls. The uniformity in forms and paintings on pottery is difficult to explain. Normally, the explanation of this uniformity is the fact that local potters made the pottery, but in areas like Gujarat, Rajasthan, a variety of other kinds of potteries continue to be produced along with Harappan pottery. Some of the pottery has shown mark of stamp, which might indicate that a few variety of vessels were traded also. However, it is still unclear how such a large area exhibited a uniform pottery tradition, how they make their tools and implements. The tools and implements used by Harappans also show a striking degree of uniformity in designs and technique of production. They were using tools made of copper, bronze, stone. The basic tools type were flatex, chisels, knives, spearheads, arrow weeds for copper and bronze implements. In the later stages of civilization, they were also using daggers, knives, flat tongs. They were familiar with the techniques of casting bronze, copper. Stone tools were also in common use. They were produced on a large scale at factory sites like Sukur in Sindh and then sent to various urban centers. Factory sites like Sukur in Sindh. Then from factory they sent their material to various urban centers. Only this could explain the uniformity in tool types. Unlike the early Harappan period, when there were various tool making traditions, the mature Harappans concentrated on making long regular blades. They indicate a high level of competence and specialization with little or no concern for beauty and innovation. Next, we will see in this arts and craft, how they make their arts and craft. The works of arts give us insight into how society relates itself its surroundings. They also give us an idea of how it view nature, human beings, divinity. In pre-modern societies, it is difficult to separate arts and craft. That's why we shall study them together. Probably the most famous art piece from Harappan civilization is the bronze dancing nude figure discovered at Mohenjo-daro, with head drawn backwards, dropping eyes, right arm on hip, and left arm hanging down. The figure is in a dancing stance. She is wearing a large number of bangles, and her hair is painted in an elaborate fashion. It is considered a masterpiece of Harappan art. If you will go to the National Museum, then this statue will kept over there. Was also kept over there. You can see over there the bronze figurines of a buffalo and have been kept beautifully caught and stamps of animals also. The two little toy carts of bronze are also fairly well known objects. Toy cart means just like bullock cart, just like horse cart, that just like uh, toy carts. Although one was discovered at Harappa and other at Chanudar, a distance of over 650 kilometers, they are identical in design. The Indus script, as you all know, that we are not able to read the Indus script till now. Many archaeologists, many scholars have tried so much, but they are not successful for that. The seals used by the Harappans carried some form of writing. This script is still a mystery to us because we cannot read it. So far, the other forgotten scripts, like those of ancient Egypt, could be read again because scholars found some inscriptions written in the forgotten script, followed by some of its form in a non script. We have not discovered any bilingual inscription at any Harappa site so far. Thus, we do not know what language the Harappans spoke, what they wrote. Unfortunately, the inscriptions discovered so far are very short, usually engraved on seals. This makes, this makes the task of decipherment all the more difficult. All we know is that they used ideograms and write from right to left, just like Urdu we can write right to left. They used to write to left. However, scholars are still struggling to unveil the mystery of the script. If this is successfully done, it might reveal much more about the civilization. We have not got the information. Next is subsistence pattern. How they subsisted with each other. The Harappan urbanism was based on agricultural production. The condition of agriculture was very good over that time. During various excavations, a large volume of information has emerged about the dietary habits of Harappans. Apart from sheep, goat, humped cattle seem to have been domesticated. Bones of boars, buffaloes, elephants, camels have also been found from many settlements. We do not know as yet whether these animals have been domesticated or hunted wild. However, a representation of a caparisoned elephant on some seals indicate that this animal had been domesticated. Bones of falls have also been found here. They had been domesticated. Bones of large number of following wild animals have been found just like deer, rhino, tortoise, etc. Establishment of trading network, how they trade with one another, with the country of Oman, with the country of Mohenjo-daro, with the country of Mesopotamia, how they trade with each other. It is believed that the active interaction among far-flung areas did not exist in the pre-urban society. One might ask, why did the townsmen establish contact with faraway lands? And how do we know that they have contacts? In urban centers, a significant part of population is engaged in non-food producing activities. These people perform administrative, religious, trading, and manufacturing functions. At the same time, if they are not producing their own food, someone else had to do it for them. That's why towns are dependent on surrounding countryside for food supplies. Next is intra-regional contacts. How they contact with other regions, just like Mesopotamia, just like other cities and also. In the following sections, we shall try to assess the nature of contact among the Harappan towns with other cities, with other societies of that period. Our information on such contact is based on the reports of objects we found during excavation of Harappan towns. Some of these information is sustained by references found in literary sources of contemporary Mesopotamian civilization. Cities we found related Harappan civilization, like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, like Lothal, like Dholavira. We have got the granaries at Harappa in Mohenjo-daro. These large structures were meant for storing grains. As pointed out earlier, urban centers depend on villages for their foods. Urban centers depend on villages for the use of food. The presence of granaries indicate the attempt of the rulers to process an assured source of food supply. Presumably, food grains were brought from surrounding villages and stored here. This in turn could be redistributed to the townsmen. Grains are a bulk commodity which is consumed every day. Vast quantity of grain would have to be collected and transported in bullock carts and boats. It would be difficult to haul up large quantity of food over a great distance. That's why it has been found that the towns were usually located in the most fertile areas that were available in the region, and probably grains were collected from surrounding villages. Next is villages. Villages supplied essential food, grains, other raw materials to towns. But what were the Harappan towns giving to the villages in return? We have few clues for an answer. One answer is that the rulers of towns used force to collect grains, calling it tax, which has was to be given in the return and for administration. However, one important ingredient of this rural urban relationship was the ability of urban centers to collect a whole range of items that were not available locally and supply them to rural interland. One of them of interest was stone tools. Very interesting thing. People in almost all Harappan towns and villages were using parallel sided stone blades. These blades were made out of very good quality stone, not found everywhere. That is the very precious thing about the tool making. Source of raw material. How they find the raw material from where. Excavation at different Harappan sites provide us with large number of bangles, beads, potteries, various copper, bronze, stone objects. This range of objects indicate that they were using many kinds of metals, precious stones, which would not be uniformly available in every region. The interesting thing is that even in very small Harappan sites, precious stones, metal tools have been found. This indicates an intensive 167 extensive exchange network among the Harappan catering to the needs of the rich. What were the source to, of the minerals and metals used by the Harappans? The answer can be summarized as follows, just like they acquired copper from Khetri mines of Rajasthan, the settlement of Jodhpur, Bagor, Ganeshwar in central Rajasthan, which are generally considered contemporary with the Harappans, might have supplied copper ore to them. At Ganeshwar, over 400 copper arrowheads, 50 fish hooks, 58 copper axes were found over there. So that we know about the source of raw materials which they find from one another. Next is exchange system, how they exchange their things to one another. Harappan had established an extensive network of inter-regional trade inside and outside the Indian subcontinent. However, we do not know what were the actual mechanism of exchange between Harappans and non-Harappans. Such a large area of interaction could inevitably involve communities having divergent lifestyles. In those times, large area of country were inhabited by hunter-gatherers. Some other areas were occupied by pastoral nomads. Still others were just beginning cultivation. Compared to them, the Harappans represented an advanced stage of civilization. Of the Harappans had to exploit some mineral sources from the regions inhabited by hunter gatherers or some other communities. How would they go about it? We will study in another. The exchange system among the Harappan towns. Harappan towns, how they exchange and what things they exchange with each other. The Harappans had made distinct attempts at regulating trade and exchange almost themselves. Even far-flung Harappan sites have yielded uniform system of weight and measures. The weights followed a binary system in lower denomination 1, 2, 4, 8, 264. Then going to 160 and then decimal multiple. If 16, 320, 640, 1600, 3200, etc. means uh, binary lower denomination and decimal upper denomination, higher denomination we can say. Made of charts, just charts which we use to charts which we use to measure the things, just like vegetables, just like any other things which we use to measure. That is the importance of charts. Made of charts. How they made of? Limestone, statite, etc. These are the minerals. These are the stones by which they make their charts to measure the things. They are generally cubical in shapes. The measure of length were based upon a unit of foot of 37.6 centimeter and the unit of cubit of about 51.8 to 53.6 centimeter. Such uniform system of weights and measures indicates an attempt by central authorities to regulate exchange among the Harappan themselves and possibly with non-Harappans too. Trade with the Persian Gulf and Mesopotamia. We have talked about inter-regional exchange activities of Harappans. In these activities, Harappans were the dominant partners. Now, we shall discuss the trade and exchange activities of Harappans with contemporary. Contemporary means the same at the same time. In another country, it was showing over there. With contemporary West Asian civilization, just like Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia was located thousands of miles away from Harappan heartland. Yet these two civilizations have same kind of trade linkage. That's why we consider that Harappans trade with Mesopotamia also. Contemporary time period. Archaeological evidence of contacts. Just what things we get from the evidences from the excavation. What things we get from the excavation. Okay, so how we are very much confident that these things will be from Harappa. Our information about the exchange come from the finds of typical Harappan seals in Mesopotamia. We found about 2 dozen seals, either Harappan or made in imitation of Harappan seals, have been found in Mesopotamia cities like Susa, Ur, etc. Recently, some of Persian Gulf ancient sites like Felaka and Bahrain have also yielded Harappan seals. In the Mesopotamian city of Nippur, a seal has been found with Harappan script, unicorn shown on it. Similarly, 2 square index seals with unicorn and index script were reported from the Mesopotamian city of Kish. The 4 important cities of Mesopotamia we have studied about in our earlier classes, like 11th class, 12th class, Mesopotamian cities Ur, Uruk, Kish, Mari, very important cities of Mesopotamian city. In another city called Umma was found a sealing from Indus Valley civilization, implying that some goods had been received here from Indus Valley civilization. That is the evidence of contact with other lands. Literary evidence. In Mesopotamia, some ancient writings have been discovered which give us an idea of their trade linkage with Harappan civilization. The famous king Sargon of Akkad in Mesopotamia boasts that the ships of Dilmun, Magan, Meluha were moored at his capital. Scholars have generally identified Meluha with the coastal towns of Harappans or the region of the river Indus. Some scholars have suggested that Magan referred to Makran coast. Some other documents used by the merchants of the city of Ur have also come down to us. They indicate that the merchant of Ur imported copper, carnelian, ivory, shell, lapis lazuli, pearls, ebony from Meluha. All these objects seem to have been available in plenty at Harappan sites. That's why they connected with each other. The absence of Mesopotamian goods in Harappa can be explained by the fact that traditionally the Mesopotamians exported items like garments, wool, perfumed oil, and etc. So on. Leather products also. All these items are perishable and as such they have not left any trace because they perish. Silver might have been one of items of export. Silver was not available at any non-Harappan 171 source. However, they were using it in large quantities. This could be an import from Mesopotamia. Mode of transport, how they trade with one another, how they trade, and which cart they were using at that time. The discussion about the nature of contact and exchange bring in the question of transportation. Many representation of ships, boats are found on seas. Yes, we have seen in NCRT books the seals were represent boat, represent ships on the seas found at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. At Lothal was found a terracotta model of a ship with a stick impressed socket for mast and eye holes for fixing rigging. At Lothal was also discovered a brick basin. Length is 219 by 37 meter with brick walls of 4.5 meter in height. The excavator believed that it was a dockyard. Apart from this site, the seashore of Arabian Sea seems to have been dotted with many seaports. Places like Rangpur, Somnath, Balakot would have functioned as outlets for the Harappans. Even in hospitable Makran coast, Harappan sites like Sutta Gendor, Sutta Cove have been discovered, and the mode of transport of this Harappan civilization was ships and mainly boats, by which they transport their things with one another cities. Next is the society. How was the society over there? Archaeological finds from Harappan sites help us to in reconstructing the society of that period, just like dressing styles. How did the Harappans look like? How they look like? The only way of finding out an answer of this period would be examining the terracotta figurines, which we have got in excavation, stone sculptures, which we have got in excavation. Another way of knowing would be examining the skeletal remains found at some of Harappan civilizations. The study of skeletal types shows that Harappans looked like the present day North Indians. Their face, their complexion, height were more or less similar to the present day people living in those areas. But similarities end here. They did not wear the shirts. They did not wear trousers, salwar kameez, like modern men and women. We can have some clue about their dresses and fashions by the study of their sculptures and terracotta figurines. Men are mostly shown wearing a dress which would be wrapped around the lower half of the body, with one end worn over the left shoulder and under the right arm, like the modern sari. Food habits, what they eat, they are vegetarian and they are non-vegetarian both. Harappans of Sindh and Punjab ate wheat, barley, their staple food, like today's. Those who stay in town of Rajasthan had to be content with barley only. The Harappans of Gujarat in places like Rangpur, Sukotda preferred rice and millet. They got their supply of fat, oil from sesame seeds, mustard, possibly ghee. We do not know whether they were familiar with sugar cane to supply them sugar. They might have used honey to sweeten their food. Seeds of zuzubi and dates found at Harappan sites indicate their preference for these fruits. They seem to have consumed a whole range of wild nuts, fruits, but it's difficult to identify them. Language which they were speaking at that time, script which is not read, script. That's why we can say the script of Harappan Valley civilization was or is enigmatic, which is not read. We are not able to read that script. What language did they speak and what did they read and write is again not clear to us. We have discovered the written script of Harappans, but as pointed out earlier, we have not deciphered it as yet. Some scholars believe that the language written there is ancestral Dravidian group of language like Tamil. However, no one has proved this case beyond doubt. One noticeable thing about their script is that it did not change all through the life of civilization. All the other ancient scripts have shown distinct changes over a period of time. We have not read the script. We do not know about the language of that particular people of Indus Valley civilization. We are not able to read that. That's why we cannot say. But with the help of the pictures, with the help of the figurines, with the help of the sculptures which we have got in excavation, we can say that the dressing sense, that the food habits, okay, was that. What they were doing in society, what they were doing in political system. We can uh, arrange some material for you also. That's why. Warfare. Did they play and fight? We know that they played dice. Dice. Just like Ludo we play nowadays, they played dice. They played Chaucer, just like we have seen in Mahabharat period. That Shakuni Mama was also played the Chaucer over there with the Kauravas and the Pandavas. But beyond that, we again draw a blank. They did fight. There is enough evidence for it. We have seen the movie Mohenjo-daro. You have also seen? You will see, you will watch that movie Mohenjo-daro. Very important things we can clear in our mind about the Mohenjo-daro, about the citadel, about the lower town, about the society, about the trade. We will see live over there. You see, you will watch Mohenjo-daro movie over there. Warfare, yes, they fought wars because archaeologists who were digging up the various Harappan sites were looking for evidences of war and not of sport. Important indicator, of course, is that at the time of emergence of Harappan civilization, many early Harappan sites like Kotadiji, Kalibangan were burnt down. We can say that they fought wars. Main craft occupations: bead making, building of houses, brick making, stone makings, bronze workers, copper workers, group of potters, guild system, where uh, all type of occupations were discussed in that guild. The particular people of that particular group, they were talking with each other, just like what was the cost of that particular thing, and how much production we have done over there in our agriculture. Okay, these type of things was discussed were discussed in the guild system. Bead making, the one and important thing which we can see, that seal making, bead making, and stamp like, and pottery making also. That is the main art and crafting, main occupation of that time. Who ruled them? Have you seen that we have got a statue of a priest? Priest means pujari. We have got in evidence, in excavation, the statue of the priest. We can imagine that that priest ruled over there. There was no any other ruler except that priest. Okay, who ruled over there? Who ruled over Harappans? Priest, big traders. They may have been kings, priests, or traders. We know that in many pre-modern societies, economic, religious, administrative spheres were not clearly demarcated. This means that the same person could be the head priest, the head king, and the wealthiest merchant. They can be. That is very clear to us. Religion and religious practices. Yes, there were so many gods and goddesses at that time. Earlier, we have studied about the mother goddess, which we have got the statue in excavation, mother goddess. Uh, they worship trees, just like people tree. We worship nowadays also. They worship Tulsi nowadays also. They worship serpent, snake, and the places of worship, obviously, temple. Temple was built in citadels and in lower towns also. Number of buildings. A number of gods and goddesses were also prayed over there. Uh, Pashupati Shiva was also prayed over there. Mother goddess, serpent worship, moon worship, nature worship, tree worship, so many things which were worshipped over there. Objects of worship, like evidence of objects of worship come from the study of Harappan seals, terracotta figurines, buffalo one-horned unicorn, buffalo horn headdress, goat, elephant, tiger, antelope, mother goddess. We have seen in excavation, tree spirits, people tree has been worshipped, mythical heroes, animal worship, one horned bull, bison, which was worshipped over that time, mythical beasts, so many mythical beasts, which was also in later Indian tradition also, burial of the dead. We have discussed earlier about the burial system. There are some which we have studied so many things, which we have covered so many things in our chapter Indus Valley Civilization, which is very interesting and which is very important to us also. Harappan civilization seems to have carried a brisk internal trade, means exchange activities, 1.3 million square kilometer, very vast stretch of the land. You can see the map, the Harappan civilization, and the important cities of Harappan civilization was these: Harappa, Banavali, Kalibangan, Mehergarh, Mohenjo-daro, Dholavira, etc. Important cities of that time period. Harappan civilization. Now we are going to end this session and we will carry Unit 7 in our next chapter, in our next session. Thank you and have a nice day.